Welcome to the Grassroots Army Podcast. This platform is for common sense people looking for up-to-date, accurate, and truthful information without the hot garbage corporate media bias. The power of one can lead to the power of many. You never know what small act that you may say or do that may literally change the lives of millions tomorrow. And don't you ever think that you can't make a difference, because you can. Good morning, my fellow Michiganders. Good morning, my fellow Americans. Welcome to the Grassroots Army Podcast. And today we have the chairman of the Michigan Republican Party / Senator Jim Runestad on the show to kind of give us an update of what's going on with the Michigan GOP, especially, Jim, with what just dropped yesterday with Scott Presler in Pennsylvania. He tweeted out that yesterday the Democrats actually flipped a state Senate seat in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, from obviously Republican to Democrat. And this is a heavily Republican district. And the Democrats, he said, won with early voting handedly, while Republicans waited to vote on day one. And we lost by a slim margin of 482 votes. And so I want to get into kind of the common assumption that your typical Trump voter tends to think that everyone that votes for Trump is going to vote down the ballot as a Republican. And in key states and battleground states, this is obviously not the case, because a lot of people who supported President Trump, they may split their ballot down ballot. So we just seen examples like this in Pennsylvania, winning by a slim margin of 482 votes, which is unbelievably small. So what is the Michigan GOP strategy, right now to help engage these voters and help them connect the dots with not only being a Trump Republican, but also what Republicans that they need to vote down ticket?
Well, I think Donald Trump did a good transition from years ago saying that we need to be just focusing on the election day. And with a lot of laws changing on early voting, he made that transition and said, hey, with the new dynamic, we cannot just be turning out on election day. One of the dangers of that is when the Democrats have their votes in the bag, they make a calculus, they scrub those out, and now they're focusing just on the ones who haven't voted. If we don't know who's voted until the election day, it's a big hurdle because we got to be messaging to everybody. The more votes now you get in the bag early, it is so helpful as you run up to the election day. So the whole dynamic has got to be changed. The whole concept even of when we're going to do the convention. I'm discussing having one of these nominating conventions, because by the time we nominate our candidates for a Secretary of State and Attorney General in August, the amount of time that they have to raise money versus the Democrats doing an early nomination and then raising money all the way up to the November election makes a huge difference. So the whole dynamic of everything to do with what I have been doing in campaigns now for 40 years has all changed. We've got to get that early voting. We got to get that absentee voting all in the bag. You got to start the process of outreach to these voters way, way earlier than ever before. I used to always say when I was running, there's two elections. There's the absentee election, and then there's my barking dog here.
Your dog agrees.
So we got dogs, we got a couple cats, 3 grandkids, and hopefully we can keep them all contained.
If you can train your dogs to bark when you say Democrat, that would be absolutely wonderful.
You noticed how that really riled her up, that dog. So I used to say there's the the absentee, and then there's election day. There's 2 votings. Now there's the early voting. So there's actually 3 elections going way months earlier into the process. So now, did they miss that in that last election? It's very hard to debrief based upon one report. Oftentimes you'll find a situation like that there's this anomaly how did this happen? And you do a deep dive. Sometimes there's issues with the candidate, that the candidate didn't work or the candidate had an issue. I don't know if it was all simply that the Republicans didn't do the early voting. But if they didn't, no matter what else happens, that's on them. You have to start that process early. So all of these elections that we're looking at, we're going to be looking at trying to mobilize the entire voter base, the volunteers, the candidates, everybody to be focused on early as we possibly can on these races.
I'm so glad you said that, because we've heard this time and time again that, we got to show up to vote. Don't do the early voting. And that's not the narrative that we ran with. Obviously, this last election cycle, we wanted to overwhelm the voting, and we did that. And President Trump won, and we got back a lot of key seats. But I mean, we all want it to be the old ways, right? I mean, we just have to do these things right now to win, and then we can change the voting laws. And I think that's very important that we continue to hammer down. The only way we're going to change the voting laws is if we continue to win. And if we want to win, we have to do early voting. So you guys obviously right now are building that infrastructure for that to take place. You just said to activate people and get that going.
Yeah, we're just to give you a quick update. It'd be nice if I could say I stepped into this job, and after 4 months of campaigning, 7 days a week, 14 hours a day, not one single day off, sometimes 4 debates or speeches a day, that now I've had a little breather. There's been not a single day of breather. It's continuing to be 7 days a week because there was a lot of issues, starting with I was under the impression that we owed about $300,000. Maybe that's going to get paid down. We should have a decent fund balance. Well, it's 770 something thousand in debt. We had 20,000 in the bank, of which we were required the next day we had 30,000. We were required to pay 20,000 the next day. So the cash on hand was 10,000. So I'm spending most of my time trying to have an operation. And right now I feel like the CEO who unlocks the door in the morning and takes the trash cans out and then starts typing his letters and answering the phone and meeting with people coming through the door and running like crazy every day, all day long, with nobody there other than a couple of volunteers. So it's been just 7 days a week, every single day, trying to right the ship. So that I say that because people are saying, well, why isn't Jim showing up at this event, or why doesn't he answer my phone? It's a situation where I've been underwater and I come up for breath and then plunge down with endless issues, too many to describe. But anyway, I'm just asking for patience as we are working through this, trying to make sure we get this everything up and running.
Yeah, a lot of people don't understand. It's not like the plane has already been built, fully fueled and ready to go. You take off and then you build your plane. So
yeah. I talked to 2 state party chairmen in Ohio and Iowa. They started with 10 and 14 employees day one, no or almost no debt, fund balances. They said it was a smooth operation. When I told them 770 something thousand debt, no cash on hand, no employees, they're like, how in God's name are you doing it? Well, we're going like crazy. Me and volunteers 7 days a week. It's the only way to do it. You just got to power through it.
Yeah, well, we appreciate that, Jim. I mean, it's a thankless job. We all know it. Anyone that's been involved in politics knows what is ahead of you and the pressure that you guys are going to be under, especially in 2026, because it is obviously a very important election. And we have to make sure that we're not only getting the right candidates, but the right candidates with the right skill set who can not only win in the primary, but also the general. And that's one of the things that I'm trying to focus on my end, is getting good quality candidates. Like, hey, you know what? You may not have the skill set to run for governor, but you'd be one hell of a commissioner. You'd be one hell of a school board member. And we need to win up and down the ticket. That's how we continue to take back lost ground. And so I want to do my part. I have quite a bit of a big of a following with the Grassroots Army, and we hear it all the time. When we go to social media events or in-person events or even everyday conversations, people want to be involved, but they just don't know how to get involved. and they want to be the difference maker in 2026, but what can they do? So, for the everyday folks who follow me that are going to watch this, what are some specific ways that we can activate these folks to get involved right now to start this infrastructure that you obviously need help building?
Well, we've had some individuals contact us recently that have certain skill sets that are willing to volunteer. Right now, you said the critical word. There is no money. So anyone that says, Jim, I'd like to get $100,000 a year starting tomorrow to really help you with. Again, we have no money. I've been at this for 1 month, and that's exclusively trying to put a strategy together, put the infrastructure together, and raise the money. So anybody that can help with that, we've had some really wonderful people, especially in the last week, that said, hey, I can take this chunk, I can take this chunk, that have the skill set to do that and are willing to put their time and energy into this has been very helpful. Down the road, we're going to need a tremendous amount of help. I want to have a infrastructure put together for these November elections that are be coming up in the cities. We ought to play particularly in Republican areas that have cities, and there's a number of them right in my area that are in Republican areas, and almost everyone in the city council is a Democrat. And that's just not acceptable. We need to be recruiting these people now and then supporting them in those elections, because what happens is that becomes the farm team. That becomes the bench that you start to build on. And as you just described, I've had people call me and say they
Jim just lost his connection. Well, hopefully we can get him back, but I want to hit on what he just said is he's up against something pretty monumental, folks, and he's going to need your help. And I want to show you all this because this is what the Democrats just put out on March 17th, that they are kicking off their statewide drive to contest every single race. And they're looking to take back 700, I think they said in this article, 700 local late races. So that is where their energy is. And that is what they're able to do with their ground game, is mobilize and activate their people to get involved and get activated and make the difference. And so I think it's very important that it is kind of like this all hands on deck mentality. If Jim doesn't come back, I'll have him on again here shortly in the future, because I just had some questions regarding like milestones that we need to get to every single quarter, right? Every quarter, what are the milestones with the fundraising, the infrastructure, the number of volunteers that we can get? I mean, all that is going to make a difference as we take back this state and country, because 2026 is upon us and it's going to be here like that. And that's one thing that the Democrats continue to do, is double down on the radical left rhetoric. I mean, look at everything that they're doing right now is with the attacking the Teslas, right? They're going around. The party of tolerance is no longer the party of tolerance, even if they ever were. They're the party of intolerance. They keep pushing this hate and division and spewing anti-American rhetoric, and they're literally fighting to try to keep dangerous criminals here while Trump tries to deport them. And they cry over the budget cuts that we're doing and the tax-paying dollars that we're going to save. But it's funny because they can't prove, you never hear this, they can't prove that a dime wasn't wasted. Oh, there's Jim. He's back. So I'm going to bring you on, Jim. You ready? Here we go.
Yeah, something happened. It just all of a sudden shut off and said I was in the back room of this thing. So anyway, I restarted it up again. So it's
Jim, like the scary part is you're going to make me go down my conspiracy hole and say, who's trying to stop us from having a conversation, Jim?
Who could it be?
Yeah, that's right. Hey, I have a question. So, obviously you guys have a lot that you have to do, and it is the beginning. People need to take a chill pill, as we say. I mean, you've only been at this thing for a month, and you obviously haven't inherited a fully functioning company. You're literally like, here's the keys, and we're $700,000 in debt, and go get them, Jim. And you're like, well, wait a minute, this is not how it's going to be. So it's going to take some time to get this infrastructure created. So what are some milestones that folks can look and say, hey, this next quarter, we're going to have the infrastructure, we're going to have this much money fundraised, and then we're going to do this? I mean, what are some things that you can share that you guys, some goals, I guess you could say, that you guys are trying to achieve over the next 3 to 4 months?
Well, one of the things I was talking about on the campaign trail was trying to make sure we're communicating with the base. And one of the things we found out is the website that we had was not functional in terms of much ability to do add-ons or anything else. It was extremely limited. We had to rebuild that entire thing out. If you take a look at it, it's spectacular, complete rebuild out. We want to put on there the counties and the districts so that they can add in their events, who their leaders are, all of that information. So that infrastructure is up and running. The donation tab's on there. You're going to find that in the past, I don't think people monitored the money the way we're going to be monitoring the money to make sure that the dollars are going on the target, and that is winning these races. So that's something you're going to start seeing as soon as I can get up from the snapping alligators of massive debt. I want to start traveling the state. That's another thing that I said that I would do. And as I described to everybody when I was running for office, I love doing that. It's one of my favorite things. Dealing with endless issues like the fact that our email system was with a vendor who owned the email system. You don't do that. When you hire a vendor, the vendor puts it in your name. If they're purchasing it, you have to buy it in your name, in the name of the party or the chairman, not the name of the vendor who now owns it and can walk away and say, hey, you got to pay us X dollars or you're not getting it back. I was faced with that almost day one. So there's a lot of things so we had to rebuild out the entire email system again. So there needs to be continuity going forward, and there's got to be what I have been dealt with is not going to happen. I've talked to these other states. Some of them say they don't even allow debt to make sure that that new chairman doesn't have this debt, and there has to be a certain amount of fund balance. There's a lot of things I want to work on with the state party, but in terms of the volunteers, I want to get out there, start talking to them, hearing back from them what their suggestions are. I find that's extremely valuable when somebody is kind of at the top of the pyramid, but they don't get down to the boots on the ground and get feedback. They're not being well served. You need to get out and talk to people. That's something I intend to do. As soon as we get through, we're working our way through these issues, but as soon as that's done, I want to get out there and start putting together the strategy to support the Trump agenda, to support all of our candidates going forward in 2026. I went to Washington, D.C. for 2.5 days, and every person there said that Michigan is #1 in the nation. Nobody disputed that. The entire focus of the entire Republican apparatus, from the White House to RNC to the NRCC and the NRSC and all the way down, every one of them say Michigan's #1 in the nation. We not only have an open U.S. Senate seat, we have a governor's seat, and those have never occurred at the same time in our history. On top of that, whoever wins that governor race is going to be very pivotal in the 2028 presidential race. So they're very focused on making sure we have a good, friendly governor in Michigan, in one of maybe the most important swing states in the nation. So there's going to be a lot of focus, a lot of energy coming into Michigan in 2026.
Wow, it's exciting, but it's also kind of scary. You know, that's, man, we appreciate everything you said, spot on. Hey, I got a quick question though, because I get this a lot with county GOPs and stuff. People just don't know who to vote for down ticket. They always have questions. Are you guys going to have access on your website to click the individual county and then here's who you need to vote for in your county, Republican?
We're going to do more than that. And this is something else I talked about. It's been one of my biggest frustrations over the years, going all the way back now, 35, 40 years of being in politics. I was kind of a leader here in Oakland County, starting with a bullhorn and then built up the North Oakland Republican Club. So I would get constant requests for who to vote for the judiciary. Every cycle, that was the #1 question: who do I vote for the judge? these positions are extraordinarily important, that we have judges, district, circuit court, appeals court judges that are going to work their way up through the system all the way to the Supreme Court. If we're not electing them at the lower levels, we don't have a bench again to the higher levels. So for that, from school board on up, all the way through, I want to have these counties getting us the information. We'll design these flyers, send them to their area, and then pay to have those printed and distributed so that they can take those out to the homes. They can have them at the polling places, handing them out. Because I gave a few people, we printed some up here in Oakland County, and I was giving people those on election day, and they're like, wow, this is exactly what I needed to know who to vote for. I didn't know who to vote for these nonpartisan races. So that's going to be a huge focus for State Party.
That's absolutely fantastic. Jim, I'm not going to take any more of your time. I know that you have a lot going on, and man, I just want to let you know we appreciate you. And if there's anything that we can do or push out media-wise, just get a hold of us and we'll help you guys any way that we can.
Thank you, Garrett. Appreciate everything you do. And yeah, I definitely will be contacting you to keep your viewers informed.
Yes, sir. Have a great day. We appreciate you.
Thanks. Same here.
Bye-bye. Wow. I mean, he said a lot of great things and what's going on, but my heart goes out to the guy. I mean, to inherit something like that with that much debt and then have to, you're not hitting the ground running, you're in a hole. And the first thing you have to do when you're in a hole is do what? Stop digging, right? And then climb out of the hole. So we got to give him obviously a chance to climb out of the hole and then get the foundation built and then the infrastructure. And so it gives this guy some support, some grace, and then let's get behind the Michigan GOP, because a lot of people just constantly complain about the Michigan GOP and everything else. And it's a thankless job, folks. It truly is. Let's support them. We have to make sure that we do everything in our power to win up and down the ticket. 2026, just like you heard from Chairman Runestad's mouth, is entirely huge. And the White House knows this. The National Republican Party knows this. And so it's going to be a lot of energy, exciting, but also very scary if we don't win. All right. So no pressure on us. All right. No pressure on the Grassroots Army. So I will continue to do my part, is bring these folks on and give you up-to-date, accurate, and truthful information. I have State Senator John Lindsay that's going to be coming on the show next Thursday. And then I just contacted Congressman Huizenga's team this morning to bring him on the following week to talk about what's going on in Congress. I think this is very important to continue to have these conversations and to put some pressure on Congress so they can start actually signing the executive orders that President Trump continues to do into law. So I want to continue to have these folks on and allow them to explain what's going on to keep you guys all up to date. So I appreciate every single one of you. God bless you. God bless the state of Michigan. Of course, and always, God bless these United States. Have a fantastic day.